It always baffles me when this type of question comes up, when a film costs so much to make that we have to investigate if it's a hit despite making, at the time of this writing, over $900 million at the worldwide box office. It still blows my mind that Justice League lost the studio money despite making twice as much as Shazam, a film that ended up warranting a sequel. And yet, here we are diving into the facts about whether Avatar: The Way of Water was financially successful simply because the answer is much more complicated than a simple yes or no. See, many people make the mistake that a film breaking even, i.e. when a film makes double at the box office what it costs to produce and market, means that it's a hit. To Hollywood, that only makes it a modest hit. There has to be something that strikes the producers into thinking, there's a great shot at a business opportunity with this movie. That's why something like The Hangover got a gaggle of forced out sequels, whereas most comedies take a long time to get even one sequel approved by the studio. So even though Way of Water is getting close to recouping its production budget, though it may have a while to make its marketing back as well, that won't necessarily be enough, as the film would have to prove to be profitable, especially for the budgets that these Avatar movies demand. But then, what's getting everyone to think that it won't go beyond that? Well, for starters, the domestic gross in its opening weekend fell short of projections, which for some reason were about double what the first movie made in its first weekend. Why would projections be that high? Well, most likely because of James Cameron's reputation for sequels, which is most likely also why the film had such minimalistic marketing, though that could also be on the mouse's part. Chances are the film was hinging on the fact that it's a James Cameron sequel, and everyone loves his sequels. I mean, T2, Aliens, this guy's the master of sequels, so it has to be a bigger hit, right? Well, the difference is that we knew how the other James Cameron sequels were about to upgrade from their predecessors, so it gave more people a compelling reason to check it out. Heck, the reason for Aliens being an upgrade from Alien is right there in the friggin' title. I'd even make the argument that people could tell that the one and only problem with the Terminator, even at the cost of its superior storytelling element, was being upgraded in T2 with a bigger budget, more advanced effect, and a broader range of capabilities with the action set pieces. Way of Water's advertising didn't really strike anybody with a swing of, I have to see this movie. The advertising seemed tame and conventional, which wasn't nearly as grand or striking as the full trailer for the first movie. So how can we expect a superior sequel when we didn't even get a superior trailer? But okay, the film fell short of overblown expectations in its first weekend and had a pretty drastic drop in its second weekend. Domestically, it doesn't seem to be drawing in very many audiences, but many people forget neither did the first movie. Despite still holding the rank of the highest grossing movie of all time, to this day, even after 5 re-releases, its domestic gross doesn't even top 800 million, which not only has been topped by Star Wars and Marvel on a few occasions, but pales in comparison to its international gross of almost $2 billion. I know, shocker that a film about native tribes has more of an appeal overseas than it does in the States, right? And you know what? That's where I see Way of Water obtaining the most success as well. The film, again at the time of writing this, has been growing in its worldwide gross so much that it's currently estimated to obtain $1 billion worldwide in its first 10 days. 10 days! Didn't it take Top Gun Maverick 2 months to make that much? But again, absurd as it is to ask, will that make the film a hit or a flop with the insane production and marketing costs that it had? Well, $1 billion definitely ain't gonna cut it, but honestly, if it can make $1 billion in 10 days, I imagine that if it had the same 234-day theatrical run that the first movie had, it could make $3 billion easily. Heck, give it that 6-month run that Top Gun Maverick had and it could make that. And considering that Disney had crossed $4 billion in its studio gross just when Way of Water had just 500 million, let alone 900, they'd be crazy not to give this film the long haul. So don't jump the gun on calling this a flop so fast. You'll just end up shooting yourself in the foot.